Welcome to FA Cup Rewind. Today we're at Villa Park, the venue for more than 50 semi-finals over the years, so the perfect place for us to remember some of the Cup's finest last four encounters. In this programme we're revisiting two ties, but just one day, the 8th of April 1990, when Manchester United played Oldham Athletic at Main Road, but only after Crystal Palace and Liverpool had done battle right here at Villa Park. Liverpool were chasing a second double and taking on a Palace team struggling in Division 1 and who just 7 months earlier had been thrashed 9-0 by the Merseysiders at Anfield. Well, before the game, Grandstand went along to catch up with both teams' preparations.
Liverpool's 8-0 demolition of Swansea in a third-round replay set a pattern. 3 times in 4 rounds the Reds have needed to replay. But there's still been something almost inevitable about their progress to their 4th semi-final in 5 years. It's become a well-trodden path for skipper Alan Hansen, a scorer in a semi-final as long ago as 1979.
Semi-final was a high-pressure day. I don't think there's anything like it. There's even more pressure in the semi-final than there is in the final, simply because if you get beaten, you're better getting beaten in the final than actually in the semi-final, simply because you're there at Wembley. At least you've had a great day out. There's no comeback if you get beaten in the semi-final. It's horrific.
Hansen for Liverpool, and Beardsley picks it up again. A longer ball this time. Barnes! Yes!
And that was Norwich on the way out. After Swansea, Liverpool's route to the semi-final has all been on First Division stepping stones.
McMahon. Beardsley. Oh, well played by Beardsley. Lovely goal. Vintage Beardsley. And Barnes. Oh, brilliant!
No matter how inevitable the Liverpool march may seem to outsiders, within Anfield, nobody takes anything for granted.
I think that one would say over the last 2 years that the double was within our grasp for the last 2 years, When we lost to Wimbledon, then Arsenal beat us here last year to win the league, and we could have won the double both years. People always say that, because that happened 2 years ago and that happened last year, that it won't happen again. It could easily happen again if we let it happen.
We won't be allowed to go into the match with any other attitude than the 100% effort, attitude and commitment. That's what's demanded here. That's a favourite saying of the managers, effort, attitude and commitment, and he's perfectly right. And that's the way we'll approach the game. If we give nothing less than that, then there's every chance that Crystal Palace will beat us. 2 First Division clubs. I played in the semi-final for Watford against Plymouth when we won 1-0, and we were very fortunate to win 1-0. They were in the 3rd Division, we were in the 1st Division. Here's a contest between 2 First Division clubs, so if that's anything to go back, Crystal Palace should win easily.
After last season's promotion, this season the FA Cup is what's been stirring southern suburbia. And though the partnership of Ian Wright and Mark Bright has been less prolific, partly due to Wright's misfortune with injury, it's their goals that give Palace followers cause for long-term optimism.
Hi, this is Mark Bright.
And Ian Wright. And this is Capital Drive Time with David Jensen.
All right.
Well, if you remember, last time Palace were in the First Division, flying high under Terry Venables and Malcolm Allison, that at one point they were the 4th best supported club in the whole country. And there's no reason why we can't get those gates again. And I think the chairman has got a lot of adventurous ideas. He's pretty far-sighted, and I think some of the things he wants to do with the club and with the stadium are going to really make our mark on English football. And I think we will surprise a lot of people. And I think in the fairly near future we'll be regarded as South London's answer to the North London giants of Spurs and Arsenal.
In January and February, Palace were glad to be drawn at home in the Cup against opponents from the lower orders. The priority was emphatically survival in the First Division. But the perspective has changed.
I've said this year that our priority has got to be maintaining our First Division status, and that still is the #1 target on our list. But when you get to the semi-final stage of the FA Cup and you realise the implications of a victory, and all of a sudden, apart from being just a carefree break, it suddenly becomes a real good buzz about the place. The whole club has had an atmosphere since the quarter-final victory over Cambridge that I haven't experienced in my sort of 5 or so years here, and it's been really pleasing for me to see the supporters actually having something to feel proud about.
Against an inspired Rochdale goalkeeper in the 5th round, only this shot by Phil Barber found a way through. It earned a 6th round tie against another 4th division side, Cambridge United. That finished 1-0 as well, Jeff Thomas the scorer. But now, the Cup has run out of 3rd and 4th division clubs. Now, Crystal Palace face Liverpool. A note to David Jensen from John Peel, his old rhythm pal, is a reminder of 2 league meetings this season. Liverpool won 9-0 at Anfield, 2-0 at Selhurst Park.
Well, we've played them twice this year and we've managed to get the formula wrong twice. I don't think there's any way you can play Liverpool. Obviously, on the day, my players got to play exceptionally well, and Liverpool have got to be put out of their stride, either through the occasion or through our performance. We've got to have a little bit of good fortune, but everybody needs that in the Cup. But we're certainly not frightened by the prospect of facing them. If we get beat, we get beat, but we'll go out there and we'll approach it the same way as every game. We're going out there to win, and we'll just see what happens on the day. But we're certainly not frightened.
One of the greatest days of football is about to begin. Your commentator for this one at Villa Park is John Motson.
Some supporters have been delayed on the motorway. You may see a few empty spaces even at this stage, but we're expecting a crowd of 39,000, and they're giving the players quite a welcome in this cathedral of football in the Midlands, which has staged some 40 or more semi-final matches down the years. Liverpool will be playing in their chain strip of all grey because Palace won the toss to wear their normal colours. And let's start by looking at Crystal Palace, because Steve Coppell didn't really have very much choice. 6 members of his first-team squad are injured, including striker Ian Wright. Although John Salako wears the number 10 shirt, he may not play as a central striker. I think Steve's got a formation in mind that will unfold when the game gets underway. But Gary O'Reilly plays at centre-half because Jeff Hopkins is still injured. Now, as for Liverpool, Kenny Dalglish has, as expected, restored Peter Beardsley to the starting lineup. He was left out in midweek, and his other major decision concerned the fullback positions, and the vote has gone to Gary Gillespie wearing number 4 and David Burrows wearing number 3. So Barry Venison and Steve Staunton are both unlucky in the sense that they're on the bench, and Steve Nicol is still injured. Manager of Tottenham Hotspur, Terry Venables, what are your thoughts?
Well, at the moment, I think we've got to accept the fact that it's going to be a very difficult uphill battle for Crystal Palace. But then again, the thing that they've got on their side is that nobody expects them to win. It's a very tense day, and the mere fact that no one expects them to win might make them a little more relaxed. But they've got an uphill climb, like I say. Liverpool must, for me, be the favourites.
Crystal Palace in the red and blue stripes will kick off. So with some supporters still coming into the ground, George Courtney gets the semi-final underway on time. And that's Thomas forward straight away for Palace, just testing Burrows. Hansen's virtually in midfield at the moment. He's come forward an awful lot early on. This is McMahon. Barber, who got back. Burrows. Here he is again. Well, he's almost a free man at the moment, Terry.
Yeah, he's coming through because they're playing Bright in the middle, and Barber and Gray are taking the fullbacks. So the spare man is, in actual fact, Hansen. And if the midfielder of Liverpool run forward, he will leave space for him to come through, and he's taking good little sneak positions in behind the forwards to get into good attacking positions.
Here's McMahon. Pardew. And McMahon intercepting. Rush going to the left now. Onside, Ian Rush. Liverpool take the lead. And Ian Rush, the ace goal scorer, once again makes it look so easy. Palace never recovered from Pardew losing the ball in midfield to McMahon. And the penetrating pass found out the Palace defence. McMahon, who got the ball from the Palace player Pardew, slide rule ball, isn't it? They're looking for an offside, it never came, and as Nigel Martin narrowed the angle, Rush just jogged the ball past him with his left foot. And that's a moment of Liverpool history, because Ian Rush, with that goal, now becomes the second highest scorer in the history of the club. It's his 241st senior goal for Liverpool. Burrows. And Ian Rush seems to have gone down injured on the far side. This is Barnes still. And now it's Burrows, and there's an offside flag up, but back on the halfway line there, Terry. I think it was Ian Rush that got injured.
Looks to be struggling there a little bit, John. I don't know where he's got it.
And Kenny Dalglish watching anxiously. Well, the applause is for Ian Rush. He's back on his feet. And he seems to have this happy knack of scoring when it matters in the FA Cup, doesn't he? 2 in the final on 2 occasions, and 1 today. And there's Hansen now with Bright, who gets the ball in, and Hussein's in trouble against Barber. It's a corner. Now, Ian Rush, who we saw injured about 5 or 6 minutes ago, cannot carry on. So here's an unexpected change in the proceedings. Steve Staunton is going to come on. And the man who scored the goal by which Liverpool lead will play no further part in this semi-final. This is Shaw. Pardew and Thomas combining. Barber didn't quite get that round the defender. Hussein was in the way. But Palace having a decent share of the play anyway, Terry.
I think they're doing very well. They're certainly not out of the game yet. If they can pressurise them the way they are and make them give the ball away, they've got a chance to get some encouragement from that. And certainly at corner kicks, I just feel that they might have a bit of good fortune on that as well.
Salako out left. Bright waiting in the centre for a cross. Wasn't a good enough one. Hansen found McMahon. This is where Liverpool sometimes can be so dangerous. Barnes. Palace are getting players back now, but the run is by Peter Beardsley. The same run behind the central defenders. Nobody to his right first, and he had to hold on. Staunton. Now they've opened it up again now. McMahon. Well, the shot was always on there. So the first half draws to a close with Liverpool, the holders and favourites, leading in this FA Cup semi-final. Disappointing end to the day for him, but his goal may still prove priceless. We shall see.
We mentioned Alan Hansen there at half-time. Ray Wilkins was speaking about him. His passing is exceptional, there's no doubt about it. But he's so patient, he's almost waiting and waiting for the right moment to deliver. The delivery of the ball is so important. And on the other hand, I think that Thorne also has been a big influence as far as Crystal Palace has been concerned.
Well, let's see what Palace can do about it now in the second half as they attack the Holt end here at Villa Park. John Pemberton, a lovely run early on. And a chance for Barber and Venison, and it's a shot, and it's there by Bright. It's Mark Bright, straight from the kickoff. After John Salako's shot didn't quite get there, Bright certainly did, and Palace are level. What a dramatic start to the second half, and Liverpool are stunned. Well, it was John Pemberton here who takes so much credit. It was an inspired run. The cross met first of all by Venison, then Salako off target, but Mark Bright hammers that left-footed into the unguarded goal. Well, what a start to the second half for Crystal Palace. They are level and Steve Coppell is back in business. Thomas. Liverpool have a lot of defending to do at present, and they're not doing it with a great deal of composure, I would have to say. Barry Venison, they're getting into a real mix-up. Houghton. Barnes. And Barnes again. Houghton's in the middle. And Beardsley's there as well for Liverpool. And it hits Richard Shaw. A few hopeful appeals for hands, but nothing serious.
It's certainly the best move they've had this half, John.
But here come Palace with Thomas, and on the far side, Mark Bright's there again. Andy Gray's in the middle this time, so is Thomas. And there's Thomas! Oh, and Grobbelaar grabbed it on the line. An extraordinary 60 seconds. First, Liverpool nearly made an opening, and then Mark Bright, with a surging run down the right, got a beautiful ball in, and it's Andy Gray who beats the defender, and what a good save. And Barnes picks it up from Beardsley. Look at McMahon in space. It's McMahon for Liverpool, forward run, Nigel Martyn doing precisely the right thing, getting out the full 18 yards to block Steve McMahon. And here Palace were really opened up. Beardsley into Barnes. McMahon is starting his run now, nobody with him, and Martyn is there to make a very telling save. That's a foul. Alan Hansen on Mark Bright. Andy Gray has placed the ball. That's his cross. And Bright's there. O'Reilly's there! And Palace, are they in front? Yes, they are! Liverpool stood there and could really not believe it. And Gary O'Reilly from the back found room in the penalty area. And from the set play, which people felt would be a Palace strength, or maybe a Liverpool weakness, O'Reilly drives the ball past Grobbelaar, and just for a moment the whole ground seemed to freeze. But it was a good goal, and it's 2-1 Palace. Burrows coming up for Liverpool. Now Staunton. Barnes. O'Reilly. George Courtney's got a close view. Corner. Beardsley's gone across to take it. Barnes is in there. Whelan's in there. And Barnes again. Oh, and away. Almost on the line. Jeff Thomas, I think. Barnes again, and this time it will be claimed. It was a vital clearance, and I'm pretty certain it was Jeff Thomas behind Nigel Martyn who got the ball away from danger. Venison looking for Beardsley. Well, Liverpool have really got to fight for their lives now, haven't they? It's a free kick. Salako on Houghton. 10 minutes to go, and trouble here for Palace possibly. Barnes, Whelan and Hussain waiting to come in a line of three as Staunton and Venison address the ball. Staunton to Venison. Right across the goal, McMahon! Oh, it's there! It's 2-2! Steve McMahon! So, the free kick now works for Liverpool, and a nice, unexpected one it was too, how they worked that. Venison's low drill cross, it comes out to Steve McMahon, and that's a fabulous shot. 2-2.
Well, it was a first-class finish. They just got caught up in there, Crystal Palace, on a free kick. It was had a lot of invention in it.
No chance for Nigel Martyn. That was as true as an arrow from Steve McMahon. Barry Venison, the substitute, who provided the cross from a cleverly worked free kick. And as they used to say in Bill Shankly's time and since, you never rule Liverpool out. And with 10 minutes to go, it's all square again. But what a semi-final. Where do we go from here? Extra time, perhaps?
I don't know where we're going, but I'm certainly enjoying it, John.
Well, you, I think, Terry, 40,000 inside the ground and millions at home. What a football match. Beardsley. Oh, look at this. Staunton. Penalty. Pemberton on Staunton. George Courtney has pointed the spot, and Pemberton is distraught. Well, I'm not sure about that from here. Staunton is in the box, there's no doubt about that. But was he pushed? Well, the referee couldn't have been closer, could he? But now the £1 million goalkeeper, Nigel Martyn, has to face John Barnes. The Palace players are talking to Barnes, I'm not sure what's being said. George Courtney has booked Pemberton, he's given the penalty kick, and the cup holders could strengthen their grip on the trophy here. Barnes scores! The goalkeeper went the right way, but the kick was true in the corner. And Liverpool lead by 3 goals to 2. And from being 2-1 up, Palace are suddenly jumped on their backsides and can't really believe what's happened to them. Most of all, Pemberton. His team were 10 minutes away from Wembley, let it be said. They're now less than 3 minutes away from going out. Thomas, and Bright's in there. And Thomas! Staunton, Gray! Gray, 3-3! Andy Gray for Palace, they're back in it! It's a free kick again, a set play, and keep your eye on number 4, Andy Gray, because when all this is over, Grobbelaar comes, doesn't make it, Thomas, Staunton, Gray, 3-3. Well, Grobbelaar did punch it, but not far enough, only to Jeff Thomas, and it span up off Staunton's chest. The man who actually got the penalty for Liverpool has now virtually delivered the pass for Steve Coppell's team to equalise. Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 3, and this one is going down in semi-final folklore. Barnes. Again. And it's still John Barnes, and well stopped by Martin because Beardsley was right in for the rebound. And extra time beckons now. But hold on, a free kick again. And once again, Gray prepares to bend the ball in. Oh, against the bar by Thorne, I think.
They just stood still, they just didn't even move at all there, John.
It's amazing, isn't it, this? Against the crossbar in the dying seconds. Andy Gray to take the corner. Stoppage time. Grobbelaar struggling again. Flags up though, he was fouled. This was more difficulties from a free kick against the crossbar. That's a good header and very unlucky. Liverpool, untold trouble from free kicks. I think we'll need to see all the goals again just to remind ourselves what's happened. Here's Hussain, but what we have got is extra time. There's Gray, little back heel from him. This is Barber, and it's Venison.
We couldn't have wished for any more incident. I mean, we've had everything, goals, great shots, excitement, good passing, good football, some great saves as well. Everything's been in there.
Well, I think it's probably the most exciting second half of a semi-final I've seen for many years, Terry. There'll be other people who will look back on previous games at this stage of the competition, but this may get even better yet. This is Barnes. Staunton again, same position as before. He's in! Staunton! Oh, lost composure. Just a bit. What a good position he found himself in.
Got on the wrong side of the defender, and he made a great opportunity, and he just let himself down there at the last minute. On his wrong foot, I think.
Pardew now. 3 waiting in the centre for a cross for Palace. Salako provides it. Thomas in there. Grobbelaar's missed it! Is it? No, the whistle's already gone. Glenn Hussain, I think, must have been fouled. Alan Hansel, I think, put the ball in his own net in the end. I don't know whether I've got that right, Terry, but it seemed as though he did. But maybe he'd heard the whistle. Venison getting well forward now, looks for Barnes at centre forward, which is where he's really played since Rush went off. And there's McMahon, and we've got Houghton's on the far side, goes down. George Courtney has a look and doesn't give anything. And Andy Thorne covered for Nigel Martin very effectively. Well, Houghton was sniffing for the 4th goal there for Liverpool. Barnes. Still so tricky. Houghton's in there too. Barnes again. Side netting. So the end of the first period of extra time. Steve Coppell has a quick word with Phil Barber. Don't think the managers are technically supposed to come on at this stage. The players changing straight round. 3-3, Terry.
Well, I think there's been such a turnaround so often in this game. I think now at this stage, they'll both settle for a replay, I think.
And it's a shame in a way that there will have to be a loser at the end of this semi-final. If not today, on Wednesday night perhaps. Here's Pemberton. Beardsley. Barnes to his right. Houghton down the middle. Barnes looking threatening. Shaw blocked it. It was perhaps asking too much for the extra time to live up to the expectations after the 45 minutes we had before that. Forward by Thorne, looking for Bright. Hussain is with him. Tried to turn inside in corner to Palace. Well, they've made such good use of their set plays, Crystal Palace, that you wouldn't rule them out now. Andy Gray has gone across to take it. Andy Thorne, who hit the bar in, what, the last minute, was it, of normal time? He's gone up again, number 6. Gary O'Reilly, who scored from that sort of position, from a free kick, is also there. Barber's on the line, and Bright is waiting too. Thorne flicked it on, and it's gone in! Pardew! 4-3 Palace! The flick on by Andy Thorne made all the difference. And Liverpool are caught out again at a set play, and it looks like Alan Pardew who bundled it in. Thorne flicks it on, and somewhere out the crowd came Pardew. Bruce Grobbelaar beaten again after, what, 2 free kicks and a corner now Steve Coppell's team have scored from, and it's back with the underdog again. Well, whether that got a touch off a defender as well, I'm not quite sure. It could have done. There were 3 of them in the crowd.
Just when they was beginning to put some good play together, Liverpool, they just lose one set piece again, and they just can't seem to handle it today.
Well, let's not speak too soon, anybody, now, because free kick again. John Barnes on the ball. What on earth is going to... There's now Palace players arguing with each other in the wall, pushing each other about. 4-3 to Palace, and Barnes to take a free kick for Liverpool. They haven't gone back 10 yards. Barnes curls it! Oh, wasn't perhaps quite as far away from Martin as I suspected it might be. Well, there's a Sunday team down in Surrey called the Nomads who will be watching this game today because they've cancelled their fixture, I'm told, because their coach and manager is Alan Pardew. This man's team are human after all, and Palace have proved that this afternoon with a vengeance. Staunton. Went over Glenn Hussain's head, but this is Houghton, there's danger. Barnes! Oh, and Nigel Martin! Well, that save might have been worth £1 million, you never know. From John Barnes' downward header when he looked odds on to score. Ray Houghton delivers the cross. Barnes heads it down, back towards where Martin was coming from, and the keeper was grateful. George Courtney, everybody's looking at him. When will he blow? Crystal Palace 4, Liverpool 3, and Crystal Palace are at Wembley. They've beaten Liverpool, whose dream of the double is destroyed, in one of the most amazing matches, surely, in the recent history of the FA Cup. Steve Coppell runs off, and the Palace supporters celebrate one of the most unexpected and dramatic victories that I can remember happening, certainly at this stage of the competition. Alan Pardew is the man whose name comes out of nowhere, the former Yeovil player. His goal has sent Crystal Palace to Wembley, and the final score at a thrilled Villa Park after extra time is Crystal Palace 4, Liverpool 3.
Alan Pardew's goal that day sealed his place in Palace folklore forever. Liverpool consoled themselves by going on to win the league title 3 weeks later. Who the Eagles would face was still to be decided. Up in Manchester, Oldham and Man United were preparing for a local derby. Alex Ferguson was still searching for his first trophy in charge of the then sleeping Giants. And his team were red-hot favourites to see off the second division side from down the road and go one step closer. Grandstand once again went along to get the buzz of the build-up.
Manchester United is a name easily and often bracketed with Liverpool, but this has been a strange season, disrupted by injuries, seemingly threatened by relegation, but consistently beating the odds in the FA Cup. Steve Bruce started his career with Gillingham and never got beyond the fourth round, but the experience helped form his dauntless character. And now, as a Manchester United player, he can see both sides of the underdog question.
I think basically when you come here, you know that everybody's gunning for you because you are a big club. I remember when I was at Norwich, it was always nice to come and do well at Old Trafford. People like to play against you, and people often rise to their game a bit better because you are the big club.
United haven't been clear favourites in a single round yet, but every time they found the man for the occasion. Here, away to Nottingham Forest.
And here's Robbins.
An away draw at Hereford after 2 league defeats had that dicey look until United's longest-serving stalwart intervened.
Oh, it's Duxbury, the captain. Is he going to do the captain's job? He is. Clayton Blackmore. But what an important contribution by Mike Duxbury.
Then it was away to Newcastle United, always to be feared in the Cup. But a nifty turn by one of the season's expensive signings turned the tie.
Wallace! Yes! What a finish!
Another Sunday, away now to Sheffield United, confident among the second division pacemakers.
McClare!
Brian McClare's rediscovery of his scoring touch in the last couple of rounds has been important. Injury while playing for England sliced 7 months out of Neil Webb's season, robbing United of the man they bought as a playmaker. But now he's back, and Brian Robson's performance in a Central League game at Huddersfield on Wednesday has given United hopes of their best weekend since August when they face Oldham. Second division opponents, it's true, but not exactly from another world. In Oldham itself, they've been waiting a long time for a season like this. In the past, when they wanted excitement, they didn't always go automatically to Boundary Park for it. They went to Old Trafford and watched Manchester United. But now the Latics and their fans are getting ready for an outing to Main Road to play Manchester United. They're hoping for another famous scalp to add to their collection.
Marshall! It's there!
I've been here 2 years now, and this season was the first FA Cup I've ever won, round I've ever won, so obviously it speaks for itself.
Crosses early. Palmer! It's 2-2!
I mean, everywhere you go now, everyone's proud of wearing an Oldham cap or an Oldham scarf. And if you just go out there and ask them, what we've done for the town, they'll say it's just fantastic.
Success breeds success. Andy Ritchie has 26 goals and his own personal T-shirt. Everyone likes to be associated with winners, even if some manage to keep their innermost feelings under their hat. Oldham have been 16 years in the second division, glad to stay there, never mind winning things. Cup finals and promotion talk are new experiences, and the players thrive on it.
Yeah, when I was small, I used to stand up there on the Rochdale Road end, behind the goals. That was in the days of Maurice Whittle, Vic Owen. Just to name a couple of players, were great.
So you weren't attracted by being a player at, say, Manchester United?
Not really. I've always lived in Oldham. I was born in Oldham, lived here. And for me, this is my team. My hometown team. There's lots of Oldham people who support Manchester United and Manchester City, but like my father, I always supported Oldham.
Much credit is due to Joe Royle. Just about any club needing a new manager puts his name on the shortlist first. Manchester City made a bid this season, but there's a bond at Boundary Park that isn't easily broken.
I've always been made very welcome at Oldham Athletic, and it's a super club with lots of warm feelings, and I just didn't want to go and leave a bad taste top and bottom of it.
Royle's ability in the transfer market is widely acknowledged, but his masterstroke has been to do deals that not only turn a profit, but somehow seem to leave him with an improved team.
I'm surprised by our league position because I honestly thought they would be top and well clear by now. And given a free run from injuries, I expected us to be well on our way to Division 1 by now. I mean, the Cups have been a different thing because we haven't had a Cup history, and generally, when it's been in one-off situations, we've let ourselves down. But I looked at the league this year, and it's a very strong and even league. And I looked at our squad, and conceitedly, if you like, I thought that there wasn't a more talented squad in the league, and I'm genuinely disappointed in our league position.
There's one nagging question. All Oldham's Cup success has been on their own artificial surface. Modest away form leaves a doubt about whether their record is itself partially plastic.
Even more important to me on Sunday is that we show to people that we can play than the result. Because no matter what we do here, I'm aware that a lot of people will always undermine it and undervalue it because of our home pitch. Now, I know it's not true, unless I'm totally far off with my assessments of the players. I know it's not true. I would like them to show it to the general public on a larger basis.
They say it's the year of the underdog, don't they?
Who's the underdog?
Would the underdog theme continue? If John Motson was the commentator here at Villa Park, you can probably guess who was at Main Road to describe the action. Barry Davis.
The reception from two bands of supporters separated only by 10 miles. Oldham in blue, Manchester United in red. So let's check on the two lineups. First of all, Oldham Athletic. In the end, the only change from a third consecutive league defeat at Leicester on Tuesday is in goal, where John Holworth reclaims the position from Andy Rhodes. For 22-year-old Earl Barrett, it's a return to the ground where his career began. For 29-year-old Andy Ritchie, a contest against the club for whom he was 13th man at Wembley 11 years ago. The Manchester United side, you know already that Robson and Webb are included. The man who stands down is Danny Wallace. It's a side apparently packed with midfield players because Brian McClare has been playing wide on the right. It'll be interesting to see whether he does so again or whether he now joins Mark Hughes up front. We see Robson exhort his troops. It's 10 years ago since the second division side won the FA Cup. The man who scored the winning goal then is sitting next to me, Trevor Brookie.
Well, shocks can happen, as you just said, 10 years ago, but we've also seen Crystal Palace perform great already and is really set up for another great second semi-final, I'm sure.
Ian Marshall scored twice against his old club Everton, including the decisive one. And it's Oldham attacking the goal to our left. And that went under Gary Pallister. He won't want that to happen too much, particularly not in the last third of the field. Here goes Andy Ritchie. And Holland trying to follow it through to get round behind Phelan, but a bit of a mess between Phelan and Jim Leighton, about which there were no words. And the first corner of the match is to the second division side. Holden will take it. Marshall on the near post. Holden again. Trying to change the angle. An awkward one, and Barrett! Earl Barrett, the scorer. What a mess for Manchester United. What a delight for Oldham Athletic. He just had to stand there and wave his foot as the ball came across. Ritchie went for it. I must say he looks a bit offside in that position, but the goal is given. Oldham had the lead. Hughes a bit surprised about that. Redfern. Barrett. Marshall. Good passing, good pace. And adequate cover. Good challenge by Holden. Ritchie looking for a goalkeeper off his line. No mean effort. Hughes. Barrett. Bruce. And Robson! It's 1-1! He's done it again, including a replay. That's 4 semi-finals running in which he scored. Beautifully played through. And Robson, Hallworth got a touch on it, but couldn't keep it out. Excellent first-time ball. Hallworth may count himself a little unlucky, but Brian Robson has done it again.
Well, amazing, isn't he? There he is, a little smile, and really suddenly gets United back in a game that they were looking so edgy, and really, I suppose the selection is justified in that goal, isn't it? Neil Webb gets it, lovely touch through as Oldham try to play the offside, and there it is.
Bannister doing well to protect the lead. Now watch the comparison of stride. Here's McClare. Play on, says the referee. Not a protest from United, and rightly. That was either a first-time shot from McClare or nothing. Proved to be the latter. Joe Rowell's 41st birthday being spoiled by a man he's very happy to acknowledge as a close friend, Alec Ferguson. Webb, not comfortable for Holden. Nice touch by McClare. Ince still, good vision. Phelan, Barrett's header. Ritchie to the right, Bruce goes with him. Good running on by Owen. Marshall is waiting, so is Holden. This is Marshall! This is Holden. Corner, says the referee. Good punch, but it comes straight to Henry. Off the line by Ince. And forget that I said good punch, because it wasn't. Under pressure from Ritchie, it was a pretty poor punch. And Leighton was fairly fortunate to get away with it. Henry denied by Paul Ince. Strong challenge by Ince on Henry. Phelan did well. Hughes. McClare. Webb. Pulls away, it's coming out to Robson, and it got deflected for the corner. The United player is down, it's Brian Robson. And I think he just fell awkwardly as he came through. Webb did well here because he went one way, then pulled back, but just couldn't pull back enough. And they're all committed, the weight's all the wrong way. In comes Robson, 2 go to challenge him, and off 1, the ball went for the corner. Beautifully won by Redfern. Good passing by Oldham. Holden. Henry. Unbelievable muddle, but Ince unties the knots. Hughes. Good try. Held off his man well. Struck it well with the left foot. Gets the ball well, beats Robson. And Marshall in need of quicker feet. If Marshall had not been Marshall but Ritchie, which of course would have been impossible because Ritchie passed in the ball, but you get what I mean. Ritchie moves his feet rather more quickly and might have got in there. And we've had 2/3 of the 90 minutes. And I suppose, Trevor, normally one would say that the longer it goes on, the more experienced team would be fancied. But at the heart of that experienced Manchester United team, there are 2 players who haven't played very much first-team football.
Well, it is a problem with Webb and Robson, but you know, there's another man there as well, Colin Gibson, who only came back last month after 18 months out. I'm sure Danny Wallace will come on this half. It's just a case of which one of that trio will be the one to make way for him.
Here's Marshall. Good save and a very good shot. Good cover by Bruce. Hit that very well indeed. Was just sufficiently far ahead for him to thump it, and it had some venom and was well knocked down. Jim Leighton, steely eyes. And the reflex is sharp, might have to be again. Calmly played by young Martin. Marshall and Leighton are both down in the area. Somewhere around the middle as far as Jim Leighton is concerned. Good play by Martin at the end of all of that. Goalkeeper had to come for it.
It's a great ball from Andy Ritchie, and it was one of those... Jim Leighton being a bit cheeky there, but yeah, it was one of those that when it came across, Jim Leighton had to come, as you say, for it. Ian Marshall dived in, and neither of them actually touched it, but they just collided. I think it's Ian Marshall came off a bit worse with a wrap on the knee. Jim Leighton looked to be the only thing he damaged, perhaps, was his short.
Gibson. Ince. Webb. Looked like a little bit of a nudge, but the referee will have none of it. Ince the first to complain. Webb was waiting for it to come down and was challenged. Mr. Worrell had a very good view of it. Martin, who played the ball in, and there looked like a little nudge there by Barlow on Webb. Hughes getting ahead of Holden. McClare, Webb. Seems to be a growing influence. Here's Hughes. Owen just got a foot in. It's a good challenge by the fullback. Pallister. Ince. Robson. Ince. Martin. Everybody in red is to his right. Barlow only down to Webb. It's Robson he tried to find. Could be a break here. This is Redfern. Ritchie far side. Marshall far side as well. Redfern, he lost control then for a minute. Comes to Ritchie. And they look at Redfern and say, why? They had a real chance. If Redfern had done precisely what Ritchie was signifying then, it had to be played in. And the substitution looks as though it is going to be made. Wallace is going to come on, and Robson, the number 7 was shown then, is going to come off. Brian Robson hands the captain's band to Steve Bruce and comes off to a tremendous ovation. Given his all. Here's Ince. I need even more from Paul Ince, who's been the pick of the midfield, I think. Wallace hopeful of a first touch. New challenge for Barlow as an out-and-out winger, if that's the way he's being asked to play. First round to Barlow. Phelan. Slightly stubbed it, but it comes to Gibson. And it's Webb. There was a little hesitation, and Webb is engulfed. Came across to Gibson, it was slightly mishit, I think, but the early header in, and it was Webb. It came more off his forehead, the ball hitting that rather than the reverse. He was turning with a goalkeeper who decided to come late, and Manchester United have the lead. Neil Webb his second of the season. Will it take Manchester United to Wembley?
And there Alex Ferguson, well pleased now, suddenly 2-1 up.
We're into the last 15 minutes. The First Division side lead. Marshall. The ball went out. Alex Ferguson with his arm round his skipper. Could be useful. Redfern needed Bruce to play it. The new skipper demanding concentration. Owen. Redfern got away. It's a good cross. Marshall! What an unbelievable day this is! It was a good cross. Redfern got away from Ince. It was half clear, but only to Marshall, who thumped it into the far bottom corner. And it's 2-2. Really did well then, Redfern. And so did Marshall. 2 goals inside 3 minutes. And once again, Wembley doesn't know who will be its second visitor in May. Wallace. Webb. Good block. Hughes hit Barrett. Ritchie. And Marshall is offside. Goodness me, John Hallworth did awfully well then. Parry down, shot from Hughes, hit Barrett. And suddenly Oldham were breaking, and at the end of it, Marshall was offside. Played Ritchie. Play on, says the referee, but Ritchie is hurt. Ince with the header. Still play goes on. And here's Danny Wallace, but the whistle now has gone for the second time in the day. We have extra time. Demands on fitness, demands on nerve. And fortune, always a major factor. Here's Holden. Gets the cross again. Redfern, the nod down. Marshall blocked in front of his goalkeeper by Steve Bruce. Ritchie showed too much. Nicked away by McClare. Useful for Wallace. Test of his pace, now test of his finish. And he's equal to both. The face of delight is lost in the crowd. A fine ball through. The finish, as the goalkeeper came somewhat feet first, was what was required. Burst through 2 defenders, and Manchester United lead 3-2. And the last card to be played by Oldham Athletic, and it's the former Manchester City player who is to be brought into the fray. Roger Palmer takes over from Andy Ritchie. And we're almost at half-time and extra time, and Leighton saves his team. Phelan, this is not all over yet. Milligan. Yes, the space here for Marshall. And Palmer's far side. It's all square again. This is the stuff of schoolboy comics. Palmer. It was a fine ball from Milligan that put Marshall away, and Oldham have come back again. Marvellous stuff.
And look at Joe Royle there. I think he's rather enjoyed that equaliser.
Wallace. Phelan. Son causing a few problems. Webb takes it away. Oh, they had 2 men over. McClare! Oh, and he blasted when he needed control. 2 United to 1 Oldham, and then up came McClare. Webb forcing nerve and sinew, not a bad cross. Oh, and for a moment Hallworth juggled with the header from Robbins. And we're into the last minute, but there is a bit of injury time to be added. Webb looks up, finds Robbins with a peach. Hughes, great stop, and a free kick given. Had to just launch himself and the foot was high, and the free kick is given. I suppose it simply adds to the complications of Oldham's season for there to be a replay, because promotion is still their main target. Good try! Goodness me, how beautifully struck by Holden. And for a moment then, I think Joe Royle thought that might be the decider. Barlow. Joe Royle has one check of the watch, and they've got to do it all again. The 2 managers with their arms around each other. It's been sensational stuff. 3-3 the final outcome. A replay on Wednesday.
That game has gone down as one of the greats in Greater Manchester. Just 3 days later, United won the replay, again at Main Road. And again, it went to extra time before Mark Robins scored the winning goal to seal a 2-1 Red Devils win and taking them to Wembley. So it was to be a United Palace final, and that didn't disappoint either. After a classic 3-3 draw at Wembley, Alex Ferguson's side finally triumphed in the replay thanks to a single goal from an unlikely scorer. Left-back Lee Martin with one of only 2 goals that he'd ever score for United, and a goal that would kickstart an era of dominance for the Old Trafford side. The 8th of April 1990, 1 day, 2 semi-finals, 13 goals, 4 hours of thrilling football in one of the most memorable days in the FA Cup's rich history. Until the next Rewind, goodbye.